About to get started. Cyber Forest is map number 1. Let's do this. To the bottom right hand side of the map, our red Terran player from Mouse Sports. This is HeroMarine. Taking down Serral 2-0. I'm sure a lot of you guys have just come from watching HeroMarine versus Serral, so you'll have to forgive me, because if HeroMarine starts doing something that he just did in that series, that's not obviously something that I didn't get to watch. And it's something that I obviously will not pick up on necessarily. So, if he starts doing something like that he did in the last season, like, Wardy, he just did this. Well, I was casting another matchup, obviously, so I wasn't able to quite see how he took Serral down. That's the top left-hand side, our blue Zerg, who generally has been much more aggressive in these matchups as of late. This is Elazer, our Polish Zerg. Just as we get into this, Surgic25, thank you so much for the 8-month free sub. Much appreciated as we get this ready to go. Extractor dropping down as the hatch gas and cool gets ready to roll in these early stages. Racks dropping down in the main base. And we're just going to be seeing a couple of drones on the way out. Here on Cyber Forest, typically it becomes a bit of an interesting map because of all the different ledges you can kind of siege up tanks on and kind of really stop units kind of moving up and down ramps very easily by kind of controlling them with siege tanks and so on. So whether you play bio or mech, generally it's a good map to play the tanks on. Obviously mech generally typically has tanks in it, but if you play bio, then bio tank rather than bio mine can be pretty effective here on Cyber Forest, especially if the Zerg goes with this low ground third. You get tanks up here that can definitely cause some complications, or even if they take that as the fourth base. You often see attacks in from this side and this side at the same time. Those can be very difficult to fend off. SCV does a bit of a wiggle on that base there before deciding to come back home. The third base does come up on the left hand side from Elazer. So going to set that up over on the left here. And as we do have a couple of queens starting up. Again, early game, not really much to shout about. Double gas already taken in the main. So we are not going to be seeing any sort of super fast free CC. It's the factory going to finish up, lift up, and move over to the reactor here in a moment or so. Going to drop down on top of it. There we go. Factory going to be able to start getting a couple of Hellions on the way out. So a couple of Hellions on the way in. Starport dropping down from HeroMarine in the main base as well. And this Reaper of HeroMarine just hanging out down the low ground with the third hatchery on the way up on the left. Lane speed starting up as well. Just really waiting to see what comes of these Hellions. Obviously with the Starport coming up, there's so many opportunities for a Liberator, a Cloak Banshee. There's going to be a Marauder, so it's actually going to be a Medivac. Ooh, no, cancels the Marauder. Decides not to. Viking starts up. Maybe Viking then a Marauder. Okay, so it's going to be a Hellion / Hellbat Marauder build, which is actually a pretty deadly little timing here. A little bit of a cheeky one. We'll get concussive shells a little while later in this. We'll get a Medivac after the Viking just to really deny any scouting right away. And this is a nice little build because if the Marauders hit concussive shells on the Queens, it actually allows the Hellbats to stay in range and deal damage rather than the Queens being able to kite all of the time. So that's a pretty big deal. That's kind of important as we do see the lair starting up from Elazer. Wouldn't say that's too weird of a lair. It's not super fast for Nidus or anything. It's just sort of it's still fairly early for ZVT, but just a faster lair. Probably not Nidus based. Maybe it could be if he wants to go into like a Link Queen or something. It's a big lag spike there. Not sure who that quite was. Maybe it was Elazer. What's up, Basil Hader with the Twitch Prime sub? Just as we have a quick pause, we'll get this resumed.
Game resumed.
Thank you so much, Basil Hader, for the fresh new Twitch Prime sub. Much appreciated. Thank you so very much. As you see, those couple of Hellions pulling back. Armory on the way down. Maybe this is like a Ling Queen Nidus, because more and more Lings being made. Only 39 drones. I feel like a Ling Queen Nidus against this amount of Hellions and an Armory especially is real rough. Let's see what happens. I mean, the Marauders coming across the map in a Medivac right now. The Lings are set to counterattack in, and this is not a completed wall-off. Oh, it still won't be with this depot coming out. Oh my god, yeah. Still just a little bit of a gap there. Well, that is problematic as HeroMarine now just going to have to go diving across the map. We're going to be seeing these Zerglings going to come in and going to be able to get a bit of damage done. 8 workers, 9 workers going down. So 9 workers going down here already across the map. Well, Hellbats and Marauders with the Viking as well should do a lot of damage, right? But so far the Queen's staying alive. It's going to be seeing the Queen's getting a couple of the Hellbat kills. I mean, those 9 SCVs really hurt HeroMarine. And there's the Nidus network on the way up. So as HeroMarine actually loses a lot of his units here, he may not have that much to deal with the follow-up Link Queen Nidus. So maybe this will work out. He's got no vision to the left-hand side of the main base. Oh, he's got the Liberator. He's going to fly past the Overseer. More Lings in on the natural, though. And this is just such a frustration. Another Hellion going down already. And HeroMarine is absolutely falling apart in game number 1 against Elazer. I mean, the Nidus hasn't even started up yet. But when it does, those Queens are going to come across the map. And then, well, there's actually really nothing to really fight against Queens at the moment. Another Hellion goes down. The SCVs aren't really protecting the units. They're just sort of fighting off to the side. The Marauders finally come back here, but there's the Nidus about to pop in the main. Lings are still streaming through this natural because this is not a wall of Nidus in the natural as well, so you can go from the main to the natural, and that is a lot of Queens. It's 11 Queens in the main base, pushing their way through this at the moment. SCV still going down on the natural expansion. 9 SCVs killed. Queens keep pushing through. I mean, if they get on top of that Liberator, there is no amount of repair that's going to stop 11 Queens from killing it. GG from HeroMarine, and Elazer will steal on map number 1 in simply 6.5 minutes. Year 0. Our red Terran player. This is HeroMarine. And at the top right, our blue Zerg. We have got Elazer from Go Esports. Didn't have the best run in WSG as he met Maru in the round of 16. Not quite how you want your tournament life to go. So 54 Pathfinder of the Twitch Prime for 30 months in a row. Thank you so very much. Much appreciated. Another big resub coming in today. Crazy. Well, game number 2, HeroMarine, I mean, straight up, not having a wall off properly set on the natural was the beginning of the end. Not only did lose those first 9 workers, but it meant the Link Queen Nidus hit so much faster because, well, there was already Lings in the natural before he had to get the Nidus up. And that's already amazing because with a Nidus, at least you can sort of shut down the position the units are coming in from, right? If there's already units in your natural, then the Nidus hits the main. It was just going to fall apart right there from HeroMarine, and it really, really did. Game number 2 as this Rax finishes up, a Reaper on the way out. I mean, year 0, a nice large map. If there's ever a time to change it up from being like Hellbat, Marauder, Aggression into a bit more of a macro game, this would definitely be it. So we'll see the command center dropping down then. As we do see the hatch gas and pool getting set to go, so building this up right now. You see a drone on the way out, and again the early game in this TvZ. Not going to be anything too crazy, just going to be eyes on. Well, is this gas going to be taken? One of the first things we can look out for, because if not, he might go into a super fast free CC. Will not be. Gas does come down, so Marine will play 2 bases initially. I mean, you can still get a fairly fast third base. It's just not going to be like a 3-minute third base. That's all. Generally means we'll be seeing a starport coming in here as well. Interestingly enough, the factory is quite away from the reactors, so maybe going to go Tech Lab and just build Tank Banshee Marine. It's definitely one way of doing this, because it's definitely not going to be Hellion production, right? If it's Hellion production, it's going to be coming in from a real distance away. Couple Marines on the way out to begin with here. This is a real anti-Nidus build. Whenever you skip Hellions and go Marines, it's straight up going to be very good against Nidus builds, because Hellions are not great against Niduses. Because they just don't trade well against, I mean, even with Lings, right? You've got to be able to kite backwards. But against, like, Roaches and Queens, Marines will do so much better. And against the Lings, the Marines will do just fine as well, as long as they're slumped up. So, typically, it's much better to go for Marines. The negative, the downside is, of course, you don't have as much map control. You definitely don't have as much defense when your natural is open. You're really reliant on your build and position in your Sim City to keep yourself very safe in some of these situations. Cloak Banshee on the way. Factory still not doing much as the Marine count continues to rise up here. Link speed about to be done from Elazer, and is still mining with 3 workers in gas, so has another 100 gas here just about now, and we'll see if he wants to go for a fast lair once again. Well, he has been focusing so heavily on the night display as of late. See what else he has tucked up his sleeve. I mean, there is, Elazer is the kind of player who will play different styles of ZVT, where sometimes he'll mix it up and say, hey, let's play Roach Hydra, for example. Or let's play, something else. He does, there's not much else he can play, but, aggressive Roach builds on like Roach Ravager. He has the play to switch that up sometimes, so worth keeping in mind is he is already on almost 200 gas here that he hasn't spent. Almost 200 gas he hasn't spent, which is pretty crazy. Reaper moving around, a couple of spores on the way up, Evolution Chamber dropping down in the back of that natural Banshee siege tank. I mean, this is where maybe you do get into a bit of a Marine tank Banshee push. It's a very large map to walk across though, and that is the one thing that I don't really like about this idea from HeroMarine. And so maybe it is just going to be a bit more kind of defensively focused, if that is the case. No detection here initially as HeroMarine will come in and go already. Get a couple of drones and Spore Crawler about halfway done. There's 4 or 5 workers already picked off. Oh, nice transfuse to save one of the drones, but how many times can you realistically do that? Drops it a second time. 5 workers lost. Nice start from HeroMarine. No damage at all taken on the Banshee. So as he gets out of here, that Banshee can definitely join up with Banshee number 2 and come in for even more damage. Of course, 2 Banshees able to one-shot a drone makes them super dangerous. The drones will really drop quickly at that point. And it makes it very easy to come in from like the left or the right-hand side and just pick off a couple of drones here, a couple of drones there. Just get out while the Banshees are still alive and just play that sort of style. So then running through, Reaper gets a good couple of shots off Armory, about halfway done as well. Factory dropping down, so we're going to be seeing a mech style here from HeroMarine. Now, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe I heard he was playing a mech style against Serral. So I'm not sure if that is the case, but please do let me know if this is looking similar, because while 1 or 3 minutes later, it's going to be nice for me to roughly know. But I heard murmurings that he was playing some mech, at least in the second game. As the lair about to finish up from Elazer, he's going to have access to that roach speed now then, so you can start that up instantly, making quite a few roaches here so far. Drops that 3rd command center down in the forward spot as well. Obviously protected by this set of rocks over here. Banshee's in the bottom right. Going to be able to get this hatchery. Yeah, I love that. Saves the drone by morphing in the Evo chamber. More and more Banshees on the way out though, and so the Banshee force here now. Well, Overseer needs to get here, otherwise this is going to go down. So never cancel. And the Evo chamber coming down as well. There's a lot of money wasted though, if nothing else. Lasers probably lost close to 100 minerals from doing this. It's a little bit painful. 2 more factories dropping down in the main base. As we do see Marines and tanks just spreading themselves out, ready to deal with anything that comes towards the 3 bases for the moment. Cyclones on the way up with Magfield Accelerator. Now we're seeing a Nidus network from Elazer. So a bit more of a macro-focused Nidus, where he's going to use this Nidus as a form of harassment. We'll see how well this works for him here, especially when you're playing against such a mobile composition of Cyclone Hellion in the near future. Infernal Pre-Igniter on the way up in the main. Scan drops down as we see another couple of creep tumors picked off. Banshee's back down to the bottom side, and again just going to try and get rid of another couple of creep tumors here and there as the hatchery. Far bottom right going to be taking quite a bit of damage as well. There you go, some roaches on the way up from Elazer. With the first Nidus ready to pop out in towards the 3rd base. There's a couple of tanks over here have actually just unsieged. The thing is, these roaches can run in, get a few SCVs, and then probably pull away. Now a Nidus in the main base as well. Well, Cyclone's already split to go and deal with that. Here come the roaches into the 3rd. Only 1 SCV before HeroMarine pulls away. Just that 1 SCV that's left on that gas. But even just killing the gases here could be big. You can see that the laser's positioned in a few different spots to try and make use of this army. He's actually going to come in from this bottom side. He is just going to go for this here. No Ravagers on the bottom though, so you can't really get corrosive files on the siege tank. And that siege tank fire is deadly so far. He's killed off so many roaches. There's one tank left that will just now go down. These roaches up here are being cleaned out, but he will stream more roaches out of this Nidus, but the Banshees are there. And I just don't feel like this was worth it for Elazer. It feels like he lost a lot. Loses this Nidus network too now. And he's still going to fight this base. He just has nothing to deal with Banshees. And he is actually going to bring the Queens through. But then he doesn't have an Overseer here, right? Oh no, he has one from the top side. So he will have Queens to fight the Banshees. And he is doing pretty well against them. The Banshees all going to go down. Now some Liberators showing up though. And it feels like Elazer is still just kind of throwing units in. And it's just kind of getting massacred. Supplies are going to stay still 30 in favor of Elazer, but he is only massing roaches. No further upgrades or anything. Drops another Nidus into the main base. Well, obviously this pressure has started now. You're going to see roaches coming around the top side. Liberator siege up. Gives those Ravagers something to target fire. First Corrosive Valves will get rid of number one. And understanding that Liberator fire really hurts though. Nidus in the main shut down once again. Still killed 17 workers. Where on earth were those SCV kills? Is that really just over here or in recent times? HeroMarine's actually still on 67 workers versus 67 workers. A couple more battles and that's another dead Liberator, so Elazer will kind of keep pushing through, but he's just losing more and more army. 20 workers now killed and counting, but again, let's face it, at the end of the day, he can just rebuild these workers so quickly as he is. I don't think HeroMarine's really bothered about losing workers. We've seen Cyclones and Hellions continue to clean this out. The Roach Ravager force will force this command center to lift up and to back away, so HeroMarine pulling back is still just more and more roaches from Elazer. Invested into Burrow now, but he doesn't have Tunneling Claws, so needs to get that as well if he really wants to make use of this Burrow. Roach is popping out again, a lot of Liberators still coming up. This Orbital Command might actually burn down in the next few moments. 50 health left on it, he will start to move it, drops a Mule to start repairs. Elazer will see that though, and he will be able to target the Mule right away. Still only 40 health left on this Orbital. Another Mule will drop down. We'll target this as well. The Orbital on 24 health, and another Mule drops down. Elazer wants to try and get it. The units will kind of hold the other units off, and the Orbital is saved. Third Mule is does the trick. And I feel like HeroMarine in general has just traded well enough at this stage to realistically be okay. Using the Burrow to actually not Tunneling Claws under, but just to straight up cancel the lock-ons of the Cyclones. You can see resources lost 14.5k to 10k. Huge difference in favor of HeroMarine. So Elazer still trying to run around silly all over the map with these Nidus networks and just pick off what he can. Pulling units around over here, pushing forward with the roaches here as well. And okay, HeroMarine's pushed back to 3 bases, sure, but is that big of a deal right now? Roaches burrow up, but maybe just a moment or so too late. Another Nidus building, Cyclones immediately come in, locking onto it. That means it's pretty much just dead. These roaches get scanned, they have to run away. It means even more losses for Elazer. Still only maintaining a 20 supply lead here. Elazer not doing so brilliant at the moment, not doing so great. Cyclones lock onto the Nidus, it will go down. Roaches burrowing once again to try and cancel the lock-on onto themselves. There's just so many Cyclones at this stage, and it's another Nidus that's going to be killed. I mean, it's only 50-50 every time these come down, but it adds up. At this point, we have seen, 8 Nidus worms killed. That's 400 minerals and 400 gas of Niduses killed off so far. As Elazer, 151 up supply to 147. HeroMarine has absolutely held this off with enough efficiency to be in a great position here in game number 2 as he looks to tie this TvZ series up. Cyclone lock on, getting a bit more damage to a few more of those roaches. Another Hellion gets picked off as well. Plus 2 missile attacks is finished up now from Elazer also. So finishing up that plus 2 missile attacks is up to the top side. Cyclones again locking onto that Nidus network. This Nidus network taking a bit more damage here. Coming in once again. Clean this out. And roaches on the bottom side. I mean, this finally feels as though Elazer's getting some proper damage done again, right? Like suddenly he's found a base where he can actually get some kills. The thing is, HeroMarine is actually very heavily oversaturated on that base anyways. This is nice, right? He is getting a few Cyclone kills. Yeah, I feel like Elazer actually dealing some damage to the army, and the supplies overall are dropping lower and lower. Kind of feels like overall, you can see Elazer has been mining more, so he makes up a little bit for that efficiency, or that lack of efficiency. Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you bring the armies lower, it definitely puts it into favor of Elazer a little bit more, because the more Cyclones there are, the more Elazer just loses straight up every single time. Drops another Nidus down on this natural, but I don't know how he expected this to go up when the Cyclones are in the main, have nothing to kill. This is crazy. Well, Elazer still has a little bit of a supply lead. I think the only thing that really is kind of keeping me believing a little bit for Elazer is truly the fact that he does have 4, now 5 bases. And obviously, HeroMarine didn't mind from this 3rd base for a while, right? That is the one thing that I look at right now, and I'm like, okay, well, you know what? That is the best part of this for HeroMarine. Like, that is why he might still have a chance in this game. These 3 roaches burrowing up, and Nidus network into the main as well. The Cyclone's already locked onto it. The roaches running through, going to get a few SCVs. It's opening up a little bit of a worker lead now. I mean, this main base not mined as well. Natural almost mined out, so there's a lot of workers in play for HeroMarine that aren't really doing anything. Roaches and Ravagers setting up on the bottom side. This base landed. I'd love to see Elazer just try and deny this, because I really think it's one of the important bases for himself at the moment. More Ravagers morphing in. Hellions and Cyclones sit between the bases. 3 Hellions trying to counterattack. We haven't seen anything from HeroMarine go across the map for a while, because obviously he's been under so much pressure. This was his first attempt of it, but unfortunately it runs right into the army. And you're going to see the roaches just backing away from those Cyclone lock-ons. Liberator siege up, make this even more difficult a position. I love those roaches there. If this army runs over it and those roaches can burrow, that'd just be awesome. And Burrows grabs the Cyclone. Yeah, it's nice. It's good play. Let's turn Burrow now and just get away because of the scan. Lock-ons are once again obviously pretty powerful. I'm impressed that Elazer's keeping himself in the game. You know, it really feels like a sort of game where he kind of should have lost a little while ago. He's going to jump up on top of a lot of Cyclones again. It's little plays like this that give him the trades he kind of needs. But even then, is it even enough? Another couple of corrosive bowels and another liberated falls. Elazer finds himself with the highest supply lead he's had in a long time. Cyclones locking on from the bottom side. These Ravagers and Roaches are dead. And suddenly the supply lead that Elazer has just absolutely disintegrates. Disappears entirely across the map. He's losing drones at the same time. Some Liberators have made their way across the map to deal some damage. Already, well, 15 kills and counting. And Elazer taking a lot of eco damage he can't really afford to. HeroMarine suddenly is in a supply lead. And that's how quick the tables turn while you're playing with these roaches against Cyclone and Hellion. Elazer tried so hard for so long, but now he loses his last 3 roaches here. And I think he knows that this game is going to be over. GG's. HeroMarine ties it up 1-1 in the best of. Going to Automaton to see how this series continues. To the bottom left-hand side, our Red Terran. This is HeroMarine. Up against our Blue Zerg in the top right. Go Esports, Elazer from Poland here in the WCS Winter Round of 8. Group Stage 3, Round Robin. All the different names we can call it. Kind of a fun format, I like it. Doing something different. As we get this setting up again. That last game obviously went on a little while. It was one of those situations where realistically Elazer was kind of already dead, I feel, and then it kind of felt for him like, okay, maybe he's done it, and then the Cyclones just killed like 30 supply of roaches at the same time, and it was like, oh, right then, well, I guess that's kind of how this one ends. Some fun stuff so far in this Elazer HeroMarine series, and it's going to continue now. With a gold base being placed on HeroMarine's side of the map, this is going to be a Ravager all-in from Elazer typically. This is something Cyril actually used against Innovation in the WSG Grand Finals. Worked quite well here on Automaton. A larger map that's typically very good for mech, etc. This is a really cool and fun way, I think, to mix this up on a bit of a different map, so I like it. As you do see this SCV heading into the top right-hand side from HeroMarine here, and we do see, well, a roach drone dropping down from Elazer in the back of the main base. Obviously, that's expected. HeroMarine's SCV scout will see no hatchery, and that immediately is going to be cause for concern. As he scouts into the main, he will see the roach run if he wants to go deep enough, and he will see double gas as well. He absolutely knows what this is. The Reaper checks the gold base as well, and he is going to be able to see the gold base up and running here, so he knows the Lings are on the way out, and those Lings are going to start splitting up and running forwards. Will HeroMarine try and finish off this low ground command center? Probably will, I guess, because the Lings obviously are not going to be there in time to deny it. So he's going to be able to finish that up. Factory instantly goes into a tech lab. Reactor on the barracks instantly starts 2 Marines as well. Love that as he gets the bunker set up here Feels like Elazer is already kind of running into a bit of a brick wall with the scout of HeroMarine giving him a lot of information to work with. HeroMarine is going to be able to put himself into a good little spot at the moment if this keeps up. Three Ravagers on the way out. Siege tank building in the main base, and again that orbital command on the natural. Still just coming through the Reaper, coming around the back of the main mineral line. Just trying to be a bit of an annoyance because not many units are going to build over here. You want to focus your unit building on the other side of the map, of course. The first few Ravagers coming out, and they're going to be able to start poking around on towards this wall-off. Nice that you can hit the depot and the bunker, kind of similar shots. No depot on this side, by the way. This isn't even fully walled off yet as the tank gets a good first connection. Ravager takes some damage. And another tank on the way up with a starport to follow it up as well. So starport also coming through here. And do you see those few Ravagers just again just hanging out for the moment or so. Trying to get up to the numbers good enough so they can really push this back. But they're taking a tank shot every time they come forwards here. Let's see if he's actually, for the moment, going to keep this reactor alive as well. So far, absolutely nothing lost from HeroMarine. As the Marines will come through and get some damage on the Overlord. If you kill the Overlord, you get rid of high ground vision. Without high ground vision, these Ravagers cannot bile effectively. They have to come up the ramp a little bit further and take even more damage from the siege tanks. And that's obviously kind of the opposite of what you want to have happening. Well, very shortly here, HeroMarine probably has the numbers to actually push down to his low ground and retake his natural. Obviously, it's a nice little position to be in, as the Reaper's going to find 1 and 2, not quite 2 drone kills. There you go, 2 drone kills. I mean, the more this Reaper does, the better, right? As there is a gold base up and running from Elazer, so that's one thing that he's got going for himself. As he gets Ling speed, I wonder if he tries some sort of Ling Ravager flood in, right? You Ravager Corrosive Bile down the wall off, and the Lings flood through in pretty good numbers, and try and just obviously win the game with a big surround. For the moment, just more drones and roaches being produced, though, so it doesn't quite seem to be the case. As Elazer will start to expand in his proper natural expansion now as well. Starting to get that set up and rolling. Cloaking field coming in on the Banshee, so getting that set up too now, as we're going to be seeing a few extra spores. Still on the way out. A few Zerglings from Elazer heading in towards the upper right hand side. And this Reaper just hops out from the main base. Ling speed kicks in, Reaper goes down. Well, now there's going to be Banshees on the way up once again from HeroMarine. So, getting this Cloak Banshee setup going. And obviously, that's a really good way of being able to deal with this aggression. The thing is, with this creep on this side of the map, what you can do is bring the Spore Crawler forwards with the Roach Ravager Ling attack and the Queens. And so you actually have detection in a game where you don't usually have detection at the front. So that's a pretty big deal. You see that Spore Crawler setting up here. Marines gathering up. Tank setting up as well. Banshee coming forwards. Bunker about to finish. So if your Marines able to jump up into that bunker, and again, the extra Ravagers just finishing up and going to be able to press on forwards. I mean, this is it. This is the moment from Elazer. Even he breaks HeroMarine right now. Well, this game is really starting to go down the gutter real quick. Queen still pushing that creep forwards. I mean, getting rid of the first bunker is nice, but a lot of Ravagers here. That's bunker number 2 cancelled as well. Not even a cancel, just a kill. Well, now it really comes down to the siege tank count. There's a lot of Lings here to soak some damage. The Ravagers pressing forwards. There's 4 siege tanks. The first Biles get rid of number 1. The second set of Biles nearly getting rid of the second siege tank here. There it is, finally going down. Needs some high ground vision to get rid of the tanks up on this high ground as well. We'll get rid of 1 more. And now there's only 1 tank remaining. There's Elazer surrounded by SCVs on the low ground, though. That final siege tank is holding on. 13 drones going down as something is going on across the map as well. Banshee coming in and getting 14 worker kills. And Elazer's going to type out because of it. He realizes that HeroMarine's held on at home. He's dealt huge amounts of damage at the same time. And that is a deal breaker. The damage taken on the other side of the map. That's GG's, and HeroMarine